I'm Amy Jane. This is Drawing 101, lesson number 8. This will be the final lesson in the drawing series, but there is more to come. My big head on the internet coming at you. We got painting, we got watercolors. I mean, the possibilities are endless. I want you to draw. I love to draw. In this lesson, we're going to continue to explore form and light and shadow, but we're going to use a very cool tool. We're going to use toned paper with white and black charcoal. I have been dying to show you this. It is so cool. It comes to life. It just jumps off the page. I do have my links posted in the description so you can order the supplies that you need. So grateful. By using my links to order, you really help me out. Thank you. Okay, so supplies. Toned paper, it can be gray or tan, doesn't really matter. I have a black charcoal pencil and a white charcoal pencil. This is a 2B softness on the black charcoal pencil. I'm going to post at the end of this video how to sharpen a charcoal pencil by using a razor blade. But for those of you that are a little bit younger, you don't want to be handling a razor blade, there's an option. This is the greatest sharpener. Simply squeeze the little clamp, pull it out, get your pencil in there, it holds it in for you, and turn. And look at that tip. This works really great. The link to order is in the description. And don't forget your handy dandy kneaded eraser. If you can, do a quick review of lesson number 2. It's all about light and shadow in this technique. So that egg's gonna come in handy. So get yourself set up, and you know what time it is. Time to hit the pause. It's pause time. It's pause time. I just love this thing. Let's get started. Okay, we've got our single light source, and we're just gonna always starting so light. We're talking basic egg shape. I get a really light line. I apologize if you can't see that. That's how light I want you to make your lines. But I go and I think egg shape, and I'm looking at the egg if I have it in front of me, and I just want to use the egg to demonstrate this wonderful technique when we involve toned paper. When we involve toned paper, what we're doing is we're using a color that we didn't have before. If we use white paper and a pencil, all we have available to us is white and black. And by adding in the gray tone of a paper, we now have a third color that can be utilized. And it actually saves us time. Okay, so quick review, we have our light mass where the brightest point is right where the light's going to hit. The whole upper part is the light mass. This they call the core shadow or the terminator. It's slightly darker in between the two parts. We have a shadow mass, which is the big shadowy area all around, and then we've got to darken a little bit at the core shadow terminator. Oh, and you know one thing I forgot, the smudging tool. If you can, hit pause again and grab a paper towel or one of those tortillas. I know I'm pronouncing it really incorrectly. So back to what's happening in the light and the shadow of the egg. And you were gonna use paper towel to smudge. So get that if you can, but before we get there, let's keep going. And so we're thinking, we've got that whole upper light mass, but you know, there's a transition right there in between. And this is where I was talking about the gray of the paper. So there's a bit of a transition between those portions of our masses, light and shadow. But the very darkest place is where the egg touches the table. So I'm going to scrub in a lot of this charcoal right down there. If you're looking at your egg, you've got your egg in front of you with a light shining on it, either at a window or a lamp. You're going to see, and if you squint at it, you see that the cast shadow, this is the cast shadow. The cast shadow is what goes onto the table from the egg, is the darkest. even darker than the shadow mass on the egg. There's light bouncing up into that. But this is really, so we're going to lay in and see that point is really great with that sharpener because it allows me to use the edge and the side. And I can quickly get in a dark area just by laying the pencil on its side and going for it. And you know, maybe I don't really like the shape. Here's where I start to make corrections, and when I make mistakes, I love it. I love it. I can teach you such good things when I make mistakes. And I didn't really like the shape of that. You know, this is where general composition comes in. Because let's say you're looking at it and it's just a blobby looking shadow shape and you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I want to change that. And my toned paper is also, here's a little mistake. I really have to work hard to get this charcoal to come up off of this toned paper. It's a stiffer paper, the one I have. And so if I'm going to go in dark real quick, I'm going to have a real hard time erasing. But I can scrub, I can get, and actually I'm happy with that shape, the shadow shape. The shadow always gets a little blurrier and lighter as it goes away from the egg. If it stretches along here, it'll get blurry at the edges. But I want to just try and darken up, just sort of crossing and crisscrossing, and this is all going to come out to when we use that paper towel or the tortillon to smudge. I'm just finishing up my shape there. This paper, you know, I'm going to put on the links to order, I'm going to put a little different paper. I actually like cheaper paper, or just a different, I've got this, I'll put it on there, it's like bee paper. And it feels more like a paper bag, and it is actually a lot easier to draw on for names. I realize this paper I'm using is going to be for real detailed work, which is good. It's good to learn all different kinds of materials, but I'm going to put some bee paper on there too for all those that are just starting out. This kind of paper is when you're going to do a portrait of somebody, or you want to try to create something that's going to really be meaningful, or, I mean, you can actually just practice on it too, and that's fine too. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about what I've got here. I'm squinting at it. I'm making sure this part is darker than any of that. I've got a nice transition. Maybe this is a little too dark, which we can take some of it up just by lightly fluffing our kneaded eraser over. And actually that acts as a smudging tool as well. So we can kind of lighten and smudge at the same time if we feel that's, I kind of sometimes always get that core shadow too dark, but that's okay. Now I want to show you something really cool, because what I can do is I can erase completely, almost completely actually, but we can erase as much of that top line as we can, because here comes our friend the white charcoal pencil. This is where you're really gonna see things get so cool. Just, it's amazing. You will have some shed. But so the light's coming out. It's hitting our egg, and that's called the highlight. There's only going to be one little shiny point of highlight on your egg. Whoa, I just broke the tip. That's okay, because I can just sort of scrub it away a little, get rid of the broken bits. And now it's time to really kind of lightly do the white. You don't use as much, a funny thing, because an egg is a white object, but the thing you use the least of is the white colored charcoal. Isn't that weird? But it's all about the shadow. Really it is. And so I come in gently at first, trying to sort of see and look where the light mass is. It's definitely much lighter up there, and you see this form just emerging. But the one thing you don't want to do is mix the two. So that's where we're going to use the gray of the toned paper, and we're not going to get anywhere near that because that's the transition, but we're not going to mix any of the white onto where we've got black, because you will get a weird looking gray that doesn't really work. So keep these two portions separate. And if you do happen to get a little in, erase it. You'll see, and you'll know it mixes this crazy way, and you're thinking, what did I just do? But it's more about keeping the white and the dark separated. And just erase it if you get any in there. And so very little white kind of goes on here. I use the gray of the paper, and I come back in. I lightly at first sort of cover a big area, and then I come back in to get the very whitest I can get on the highlight bit and around where I see it being the whitest. You're kind of limited with materials and what you see. That's always the challenge of art, is you've got limitations in pencil and grub and the mud that we're using, slapping it around, but it's a visual experience, and I want to see. I can only get it so white because of the limitations, but it's still looking pretty cool. Now let me grab my paper towel. This is where you can hit pause, and let's get a little paper towel or a tortillon to smudge a little. All right, we're coming in here, and you're gonna see something happens when you do this. It gets darker. So with that in mind, because I already know that, I'm gonna go into that, what do we talk about? The pit shadow. It's called the pit shadow. I know it's gonna get dark looking when I start smudging and scrubbing. So I'm gonna go into where that is darkest. I'm just gonna bring the tip. This works really good because it's a very fine tip. And I know it gets really dark right up under there too. There's all kinds of things happening with the egg, and it's amazing. Just a simple white egg can be so intricate when you put a light on it. It really is so cool. So I like this point for the details, but and if you don't have it, that's fine too. And whatever you do, don't get any of that black up in your white. You know, if you need a tip on this, you have to make it. And we're just trying to just kind of use the stuff on there, you know, just to finish it off. This is detail work right here, but it can smooth things out if you don't like those. I actually really kind of like the scrubby lines. I noticed something that happened here too when I started smudging. I got this big old black line here. Love making mistakes for you. So you can see this is where our kneaded eraser can be really great, because I'm going to get a nice clean tip and get rid of some of that. It was too dark for my liking. And this paper really does hold it. So we got to be careful about how hard we press on this stuff. But I need my charcoal pencil again to get my shadow max back to being even once I've erased it away. But I'm much happier with that. That looks much better. And we're cleaning it up. Detail work. We can use a clean bit of paper towel if you'd like to do some smudging on the white part. Don't run them together. Don't get them connected. You'll see, and it's just this ugly gray stuff that happens when you mix the two, but so that's the challenge, is to keep them separate. We're just cleaning it up. Detail. What do you think? I mean, the first time I ever did this, I was just blown away. I thought that was the coolest thing. And there's so many possibilities of things you can do, different forms. We'll get into this when we start doing some portraits, and it really is just beautiful. And it's a lovely way to get that form looking in there. You know, if you think about it, the cheek is like an egg, you know, and if there's light on it, it's the same exact principle. Well, that's it. I am just so amazed. Like, this has just been so cool. And thank you for watching. I'm going to do the pencil sharpening with the razor blade, but if you've already got your pencil sharpener going, don't worry about it. But here's a technique with the razor blade. And I just want to say thank you. And this has been so great. And I mean it. There's more to come. There's painting. There's painting. I mean, we're going to get into painting. And we're going to talk about portraiture and things like that. And different types of objects that we can do. But in the meantime, you got to keep drawing. Just keep drawing. Do it for me. Do it for yourself. Just keep drawing.
Quick and simple technique for sharpening a charcoal pencil. Get your trash can below you. This is going to make a mess. And then it's all about the thumb. And this is the dull part of the blade that I'm touching with my thumb. And the motion comes from my thumb. Just by pressing, I get onto and I just want to sort of peel the wood. I don't want to go too angular deep. I want to keep it nice and flattish. Just taking slowly, little by little, the wood away. It's falling all into my trash can, which is right below me. And you're going to get to a point where you're shallow enough on the wood where you're going to start to see. This is where you really have to go slow. Be careful. You're going to see the charcoal emerge. And that, just go slow. Don't gouge into it too much. And work your way around little by little. Just don't take too much. I kind of got a little crazy there, but because you might break it. But you want to just sort of shave. And you'll be able to even do the same technique with your thumb. And if you want to make a little point on the tip, just sort of shave the charcoal. And there you have it. You can get a nice long tip. I see places where I've missed, but that's the basic idea. Good luck. Practice. Takes practice, this. Good luck.